Well, man, this is kind of a sequel and kind of the most depressing thing that has happened so far in all of this. Not gonna lie, didn't expect that I could possibly be targeted in Trump's takeover of America. I almost got that RFK voice there for a second with that phlegm. Hold on, can I lock in on it?
I don't think that the vaccines are very safe for people, and autistic people will never go on a date, and they can't make a heart.
I gotta get a little more phlegmy. If I was willing to be disgusting, I'd get phlegmier so I could imitate him better. But like, listen, the other day, RFK, who's very gay, decided to say some very nice things about, well, not nice things about autistic people. It was very cringe. He basically claimed that autistic people are incapable of the most basic things in life, from love to paying taxes and holding a job to creating art. He also claimed all of this despite the fact that I think even the most like uneducated ableist people know that even among low-functioning autistic people, there are savants who are actually way better at certain things than neurotypical people tend to be. But he doesn't seem to acknowledge that fact and views autism as a disease brought about by some environmental factor. He's most likely going to tie it in with vaccines. He's claimed many times that vaccines cause autism. He also is very against dyes in food. And this is one where I'm not sure whether or not I agree or disagree with him on him banning a lot of dyes in foods. It's like it's weird because he also drinks blue dye mixed into his water. It's like, but he's also banning dye. I don't know, like, which dyes are good and which ones are bad. I'm assuming from his measure, the ones with the heavy metals in them are the good ones. Those are the ones to put in your body. And a reminder for everyone, by the way. Do you know what MAGA's nickname for RFK is? You're not going to believe what MAGA's nickname for RFK Jr. is. They've had it since Trump won the election, I'd say. I've been hearing it. And it makes me cringe and roll my eyes out of my skull every time I hear it. They call RFK Jr. the healthiest man in America. That's right, Cleaver 120. The healthiest man in America. Phenomenal stuff, guys. The perfect window into the delusion of conservatives and how they view the world. It's like they have beer goggles on, but it's Trump goggles, you know? It's like everything to them seems like 50% less stupid. Yo, Zan, we got the trans girl from Florida in our Discord wanting to talk to you. You did a segment on her story. Oh, that's fucking awesome. Is she in, like, right now wanting to go in, like, for a talk to, like, tonight on stream? I can probably make time after this segment if so. Oh, hell yeah. Okay, we'll let her know. I'm down to bring her in. I'm down for a combo after this segment. Very cool. Nice. Thanks for letting me know, Redux. Based. So here, guys, getting back refocused onto this, right? RFK Jr., he's delusional. MAGA is delusional about him. They seem to think he is the arbiter of health, and he thinks that autism is an increasingly common disease caused by environmental factors that he wants to cure, quote unquote. And this obviously culminated with him going on that rant that I mentioned before, very cringe. But now it's gotten to a fever pitch where he is announcing that he is creating a registry for all the autistic people in America so that, well, they can do the next step of their plan, whatever that may be. Now, if you don't know, the Kennedy family has a pretty rocky relationship when it comes to the concept of mental health. Not only are they all for the most part, yeah, I think every Kennedy roughly was like insane in their own way when you look into them enough. But there are some real crazy Kennedys, okay? I think there's one member of the Kennedy family who basically lives on a compound in the middle of the woods with a big field like cut out around his property where he just sits with a bunch of guns propped up ready to shoot anyone who dares to step onto his property because he's like paranoid that everyone's coming to get him. And so he has to live out in the middle of nowhere, heavily armed and just like out there, right? Yeah, so there's that guy. Then you have Rosemary Kennedy, who I believe was born, I believe the doctors were asked not to deliver the baby. Asked not to deliver Rosemary because they were all female nurses, fully qualified female nurses, and they insisted, or somebody involved insisted, that they wait on the labor and withhold the labor, like try to delay it as much as possible until a male doctor could arrive and be available for the delivery. It was just something I heard, and apparently that led to, or is assumed to have led to, the issues caused in Rosemary Kennedy. She had quite a few behavioral issues, but the family decided the best way to handle that would be to give her, or have her, get lobotomized. And of course, yeah, it was pretty horrific. Her story is just absurdly tragic, like just ridiculously so. RFK clearly doesn't have every bolt fully screwed down either. And man, I could go down the list. I've heard so many stories about different members of the Kennedy family and how absolutely insane they are. But like now we've got RFK Jr. controlling public health. And he's both insane, but also so deluded that he believes he is the arbiter of sanity and needs to impose punishment, based on what I'm hearing, on those that disagree with him, those that he considers wrong and not mentally fit. Anyway, I've got a video here talking about this autism registry that everyone's been discussing, and I don't know much about it. I mean, it's definitely scary, and I'm worried about it, but I haven't really looked into it much, so my reaction is going to be somewhat fresh. Obviously, I know the basics, so, you know, I'm not going to be too surprised going in, but I don't know any of the details, so it might be way worse than I even know. Let's find out. Okay, this is the damage report, which is like one of the few bastions of not cringe at TYT. They've really fallen under. They've fallen off hard, TYT has, but at the very least, the damage report is pretty solid. Let's watch.
RFK Jr.'s most recent move should concern a lot of you because he's in the area now of setting up government registries, which supposedly conservatives are against, but I haven't seen any of them complaining about this one because in this case, it's a registry he wants to create through the NIH, maybe with the last $10 they're actually going to have in their budget, specifically to track people with autism. A government registry of people with autism. That's where we're at right now in this regime. So don't worry, they also might track people with other health problems as well. I don't even know which those would be, but I don't like any of it. And so let's dive into the details of what we know about this.
So, something that needs to be understood about how the Republicans are going to do it if they are going to try to institute some kind of eugenics plan here. What we need to understand about it is that it's going to be very incremental. It's going to be easy to justify at every single step, and it's never going to leap so far that you can get enough people to understand how bad this is. To the vast majority of Americans, when you tell them that they're making a registry of autistic people, they don't give a fuck. They're like, okay? Like, what's that mean? Why does that matter? To try and convince them that is the first step to genociding or doing eugenics on all of the autistic people in America, or forced sterilization or something like that, they think that's an insane jump in logic. That's like wild, right? Now let's say a little later, they start forcibly, with no cause whatsoever, sending police out to arrest people on the autism registry and take them to holding facilities, to involuntarily institutionalize them in like a psych ward or something. But what they would do is they would only target, and I quote, the most dangerous autistic people, quote unquote. They would say something like that. They would refer to people with behavioral issues on the autism spectrum that can lead to violent outbursts, and they would say that's what they're targeting, with probably much less, pointed language. They would probably just make it very vague and try to appeal to the average stupid American who does not understand these issues at all. And that would be something that a lot of Americans, even if they're not in favor of where things are clearly going, they will still shrug it off, because at every step it'll just be not quite as bad as we're saying it's going to get. And after a few times of them not seeing things our way, and this happened with Trump many times, people start to just shut their brains off to anything we point out, and they refuse to look into anything that we call out, because to them, the fact that we've cried wolf, as they would say, too many times means we've lost the right for them to take us seriously. Many conservatives who voted Trump, who regret it, when asked why they voted Trump anyway, that's the story they tell. That the left cried wolf about him too much is what they always say.
At this point, the National Institutes of Health is amassing private medical records from a number of federal and commercial databases to give to RFK Jr. in his new effort to study autism. Medication records from pharmacy chains, lab testing and genomics data from patients treated by the Department of Veterans Affairs and Indian Health Service, claims from private insurers, data from smartwatches and fitness trackers. All of it will be linked together in what might be the biggest privacy breach in the human history.
Yeah, this is... Man, it's really crazy how this is like the Patriot Act, but for autistic people instead of Muslims and whatnot. Like it's actually, but no one. I don't know if anyone's gonna be out there advocating for autistic people in the political landscape. Ableism is very popular. Part of why I get so peeved when people are like, "You can't say retard. That's ableism." It's like, dude. You could make that argument, sure. You could make the argument that it's ableism, but dude, if you'd seen half the shit I see in normal everyday conversation, you would understand how far we are from our society deciding that like retard is a slur. We're so far from that, and actually like ableist rhetoric is so popular. Like I don't know if you've ever heard like a group of dudes that are like 28 or older talking about neurodivergent people before, but you're gonna hear some disgusting shit, okay? The fact is, when it comes to autistic people and their recognition and acceptance, we got a lot of work to do. The same goes with trans people as well. There's a lot of convincing and a lot of minds that need to be changed.
But that's what they're doing. 10 to 20 outside groups of researchers will then be given grant funding and access to the records to produce Kennedy's autism studies. In addition, a new disease registry is being launched to track Americans with autism, which will be integrated into the data. So as the NIH is being utterly shredded, forget about fighting cancer, COVID, or anything like that. They are going to be doing a whole bunch of wasteful spending so that RFK Jr. can be like, I've cracked it. I've discovered what causes autism. And I don't know about you, but I'm on the edge of my seat. I can't possibly predict what he's going to lay the blame on after a year or two of spending billions of wasted dollars. But in any event,
it's the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine is what causes the autism. It's very obvious based on all the data that we have.
Like that's what he's gonna say. That's what he's gonna... Dude, doing that voice makes my face turn red. No, like, he's going to blame it on the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine. And what's hilarious as well is that he is going to blame this as he is presiding over a country re-experiencing outbreaks of measles, mumps, and rubella, which were all but extinct in America. We've got polio outbreaks now. Next, it's going to be the Black Death. The Black Death is coming back to America in stride in the coming years. I'm predicting it now.
And this is what he apparently wants to set up. This massive log that, you know, hopefully won't be hacked, and the information leaked of people with autism, people with other diseases, won't ever be used by like the doggy people in some way to go after people they disagree with. All of this is just the biggest, not just waste, but mess and breach of privacy, breach of ethics. And I just want to remind everyone before we jump into the discussion that all of this is so that RFK Jr. can make these big decisions and declarations about what's going to happen with autism or whatever. And this is a guy that has made his life's work over the past couple decades misinforming people about autism. And he's not just misinforming other people. He apparently knows absolutely nothing about the thing that is his life. Because he recently said, talking about kids with autism, these are kids who, many of them were fully functional and regressed because of some environmental exposure into autism when they were 2 years old. He's simply declaring that. That hasn't been proven. He's simply declaring that's true. This non-doctor.
I don't even think we have a way of diagnosing autism in children under 2 years old, by the way.
He then says these are kids who will never pay taxes. They'll never hold a job. They'll never play baseball. They'll never write a poem. They'll never go out on a date. Many of them will never use a toilet unassisted. And we have to recognize we are doing this to our children. He has not
We are
gone
doing
one
this
day
to our
in the past
children
2 decades without talking about autism. And he apparently has never spoken to a person with autism. He has no idea what they're capable of. He has no idea of what their lives are actually like.
You gotta remember, the people he's trying to appeal to are neurotypical people, or those with autism that don't know it, mind you, who have a searing hatred and resentment for those that are less able than them. A lot of people in America, this is a society of narcissism and greed and selfishness, right? A lot of people see those who are less abled than them as a weight on society, a black hole of resources on society. If you get if you get a group of dudes that are 30 or older together, and you ask them, like, in our ideal society, what would we do with everyone who's disabled? They'll say some pretty disgusting shit, especially if they're drunk, dude. They'll let their heart fucking just bleed out on the table, so to say. With all these truths, and you'll probably be pretty disgusted by what you'll hear. I disagree that this is being well received. I don't think it's being well received. I'm saying the people he's trying to reach are that kind of crowd, like your average dude bro, uneducated, very judgmental, and bitter-minded in their mindset in politics. There are just a lot of people like that. Those are the people who made up the main block of Trump's voters.
He's going to use them to crack down on vaccines, and he doesn't even think he should put a day into discovering that, hey, lots of people with autism are not just going on dates, but they're married. You could have careers, you could produce art, you could do all this stuff. So he simultaneously, this is what we always get out of the right. He's deeply passionate about this thing in a way that will lead him to take away your rights and all of that, but also doesn't care enough to actually discover anything about it. It's the same way they treat the trans community. Talk about it every single day, know literally nothing about it. And that's what we're getting out of RFK Jr. here. What do you think, Sharon?
Well, keep in mind, as Steve Bannon said, they overload the media with so much insane shit the right is doing that the left and the mainstream media can't keep up covering it all and counter-messaging it all. Aren't we against TYT? Yeah, TYT has fallen off massively, but the damage report is actually pretty solid still. I think the damage report is typically pretty on point these days still.
Yeah, and I worked with somebody who was peddling in this kind of thing, and it's really disgust me because you have parents and people who love their children, let's say, and they are so desperate and they're not just stupid or something. They want to believe that if their child is diagnosed with a case that's difficult, they want to believe that there's actually hope. I thought that RFK originally was just a wacky out there Kennedy until I heard people like Elizabeth Warren breaking down his financial gain for this kind of thing. The fact that he is still peddling in this kind of thing and isn't even trying. The person I knew who was just doing the.
I just can't get over what a fucked up family the Kennedys are, dude. Like every member of the Kennedy family seems to either be a victim of the more capable and like crazy members of the family or the capable victimizers of the family. And RFK Jr. seems to be one of those people. It's just such a just batshit insane family of people, and they're all in politics. Like there's so many of them in politics. It's actually like, how are the conspiracy theory bros, who, mind you, are like blowing up right now about how supposedly a fifth grader proved that Abraham Lincoln is related to I think it's that Abe Lincoln and George Washington are related to every president that we've had besides Donald Trump. I think that's the conspiracy that supposedly was exposed by a fifth grader. That's genuinely part of their conspiracy, was that it was part of a fifth grader's project that they figured it out. And they claim that every single president is related except for Trump. And that Trump is the single non-part of this bloodline, this royalty that's been running America behind the scenes in secret this whole time. Trump is the only one outside of it, and he's the actual Americans' representative. I know you guys are just spamming question marks, but if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I'll bring up this. I'll bring it up. Let me see if I can find this story. Here's one of the magazines that reported on this. All U.S. presidents are related. 12-year-old girl discovers that all but one U.S. president are directly related to each other. Brigianne d'Avenon, I cannot pronounce that name, age 12, was doing genealogy research in her lineage when she decided to change the course and try to decipher the genealogy of the presidents of the United States. She discovers all presidents are related. In her thorough research, which involved over 500,000 names through history, her aim was to find the ancestry of all U.S. presidents and see if there was a presidential atom that connected all of them. To everyone's surprise, she discovered that 42 of 43 U.S. presidents trace back to a single person, John Lackland Plantagenet, King of England. Now, you're probably, if you think about it for long enough, you can be like, oh, the King of England, oh, the king, oh. A leader of a nation genetically related to a large group of people. You can guess about why that came about. Now, there may be truth to this story. It is not uncommon for like a large sample group of people to, if you go back far enough, be related to one single person. Notably, we're talking about someone who existed in the 1100s. So we're going back very far here. But regardless of that, the right has taken this massively in stride. And of course, this part of the story is what they really latched onto. Do you remember the news story? You can read about it, about the Brigianne d'Avenon, the girl who discovered that all but one president are descendants of the same English king, John Lackland Plantagenet, or Plantagenet, I can't even begin to pronounce that last name. Well, Trump is also in this group together with Hillary Clinton. In fact, the Daily Mail has uncovered that both Trump and Clinton claim lineage to John of Gaunt, the first Duke of Lancaster, and son of King Edward III of England. As the Daily Mail reports, Clinton claims the lineage of her 18th great-grandparents through the Rodham family of her father. This is completely unrelated to the topic, but like, they basically took this story and warped it into a narrative about how Trump even though he's not, and none of it is like, it's just not accurate, they still made the narrative that Trump is the only president in a long line of presidents to not be related, and that it's all been in secret, one family running America this whole time, and Trump's election has been us breaking free of their stranglehold. So no matter how much we expose Trump, keep in mind they're selling a hero story about Trump. They're selling 10 hero stories about Trump to way more people than we are every time we expose Trump for some shit he's doing.
This kind of disgusting thing was a smart, devious guy who could say just enough that you would believe that RFK is responsible for so much harm. And when it comes to measles, people say even, worse than harm, okay? People have lost their lives, have been terribly sick. This is just the worst. He knows nothing. He's not being called out enough. And there are people who desperately want to believe he has these answers. It's criminal. What he's doing is criminal, in my view.
Yeah, it is one thing to be stupid or to be ignorant, to be uninformed about the science or whatever. Plenty of people are like that. But he believes he gets to decide. Again, the amount of damage that these dumb, ignorant people can do. And we like who in the Biden administration, like who was the equivalent? Like who did Biden put forward who's just like, no, like we criticized, I don't know, Department of Transportation or whatever. We're not doing a good enough job. But like imagine if like Buttigieg was like, you know what, I think pretty sure planes should all fly upside down. I was doing some simulations or whatever. I think they should all.
Dude, it's actually insane the grading on a curve that Americans do for the Republicans versus the Democrats. Like, it's actually crazy how nonstop the negative media cycle was about Biden. Like, Biden was almost every week of his presidency, I want to say, doing something amazing on a policy level. No one keeps up with policy in the online left because it's boring, but if you actually did during Biden's presidency, especially, sadly, I can't show you a lot of this because Trump has gutted the White House website, but back when Biden was in office and for the days before Trump, ripped everything apart after he took office, the American Rescue Plan, one of Biden's wide-ranging policy packages, the ARP, the American Rescue Plan, had its own page on the White House website that just had a big collage of issues you might be facing financially as an American. Can you not afford food? Can you not get transportation? Can you not find a job? Can you not afford a medical treatment of some kind? Can you not get your kids to school? Can you not afford anything you could imagine? It was on that list. And if you had one of those problems, you could click the card and would flip over with a link, phone number, email, everything you needed to sign up for a program that would pay for your problem. Every single one of these different cards, when you flip them, had a different link where you could apply for a different kind of government assistance, where Biden had allocated immense amounts of funding to these programs so way more people could benefit from them. And meanwhile, the media cycle for literally 2 straight years, we got Jon Stewart just freaking out every nightly show about it, is Biden is old. Isn't it crazy how we got these 2 old men going against each other? America wants someone young. We bring in Harris, all the Trump is old talk goes away. It was the idea of age was only ever used in this political landscape at any point during that presidency and election as an attack on Biden. Never did I see those same people use Harris's youngness, her stamina, and her being spry and young as a point in her category. But they use the opposite of that as a point against Biden incessantly. And meanwhile, this is the state of the alternative. This is the state of America ruled by the alternative candidate.
All 5, that would be the equivalent. There was nothing like this. They're not just incompetent. They're out of their goddamn minds, and they're willing to let people suffer and die because they either can't learn or can't just shut the hell up. RFK Jr. is rich. he doesn't need to say any of this. He doesn't need to be involved in any of this. He could just go be a rich idiot or whatever. But instead, he has to ruin other people's lives.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty good, concise way of putting it. I'm glad that the damage report is still solid. But goddamn, the fall of TYT is tragic. You know, if you watched all the way to this point in the video, I want you guys to comment down below. I know exactly what I want you guys to comment. I want you to comment, I'm autistic and I'm proud. Even if you're not autistic, because I'm autistic and I'm proud. Just drop it in the chat. I'm pretty sure you're not going to end up on the registry if you do that, but if you're worried, you don't have to. But I feel like just the SpongeBob meme of like, I'm ugly and I'm proud. I'm autistic and I'm proud. I feel like that should be the comment we leave in the chat. You're going to get us all on a watch list. You're going to get us all on the autism watch list. God damn it. Anyway, if you feel comfortable commenting it, then you can. Anyway, guys, I really do hope you appreciated this segment. This is just some depressing stuff, but hey, I'm going to be reporting on it the whole way through. I'm going to be here with you, and hopefully providing some level of moral support, because times are going to get rough. America chose a very dark future for us all. But hey, if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and a comment. It really does help immensely. It means the world to me and really does boost the channel in the algorithm despite it being totally free and only taking half a second. So whether you're watching this after the fact when this goes up as a video, or whether you're watching it live, please consider leaving a like and a comment and subscribing and ringing the bell icon to turn on all notifications so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload new videos in the future. And of course, if you want to see more from me on other platforms, you can follow my social medias linked down below. I especially recommend joining my fan Discord, which is the main hub of my community and fan base. And I highly recommend, if you want to support me directly, financially, and you feel like it, then consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, or Patreon. It really does help the channel a lot. It means the world to me, and regardless of how you support me, thank you guys so much for watching, as always, and I hope to see you again next time.